Okay, so let's get started with the business, pricing scenarios for SolidShop. Again, good morning, good evening, good afternoon to everyone. Uh, we in the past two webinars, we basically gave you an idea of what SolidShop is from a technical perspective, what kind of business problems we can solve. Very important to highlight. Start saying this that SolidShop is a platform of tools that really make SolidCAM, a platform instead of having only one product. We have, of course, we have additive as well, but other than that, we have mainly two products, and SolidShop basically expands, substantially or penetration or ability to penetrate, business, manufacturing businesses. But the other good thing about SolidShop is that it allows us to develop and work with our existing customer base. I think that is pretty obvious, but going to the market and trying to develop new customers, new prospects, and developing accounts sometimes can take a while. Um, and we have 20,000 customers in our database, and this allows us to work with existing customers and offer them more tools, more products, so creating uh, sales opportunities in a known customer base instead of what traditionally happens with us, that a lot of our sales or most of them are going after new customers and developing these accounts for several months and trying to create a rapport with them. And with SolidShop, we can work with the people we already know, and we can gradually increase our presence in their businesses. The other thing about SolidShop is that SolidShop is scalable. So it means that although we have uh, a large package that we can offer, it doesn't mean the customer needs to start with everything. Uh, they can expand as they gain more experience and traction with these tools. So we could start with the PDM and the DNC, then 6 months, 1 year later, expand to the monitoring. It's important to kind of have this told to the customers very clearly, because it helps them to start at their own pace, uh, and knowing that they have a platform that can allow them to grow and still gravitate around the SolidCAM um, ecosystem and our technology and partnership. The other thing about SolidShop, I think this is a conceptual idea behind SolidShop that I want to share with everyone, is that SolidShop is also about giving us some leverage. Okay, sometimes we are. I'm gonna tell you a recent story we have months ago. We had a customer, not a customer, a prospect, and he was between us and Top Solid. And then in the last minute, of the negotiation, he basically say, "I'm going to, go ahead with Top Solid because they have PDM. This is something I need here." And basically we told them we also have PDM now. We have not only PDM, we have things that TopSolid doesn't have, like DNC. We have machine real-time monitoring. We have scheduling, and that changed the game. The customer basically said, "Okay." We went there, we gave him a demo, and say, so we also have PDM, and we also have, actually we have more, because if you get TopSolid and they don't have DNC, so you're gonna have to integrate a 30-part system. Is not gonna be fully integrated as we are, and it's your responsibility to maintain it. The burden of keeping this kind of integration uh, falls on you. And that changed his mind. He said, "Hey, I want a solution. I don't want to kind of continue to put this applications to work together and keep my IT department, you know, uh, pulling their hair every time there's a version update or something. So SolidShop, everything comes from us. We support everything. We integrate everything. These tools were made to work together, although they are scalable. Um, so this is really a value, point for customers. Something we need to communicate actively about SolidShop, and also, like I said, increase our penetration in their business makes us more mission critical for their operations. And that also means that because we are tying all this to the SolidCAM ecosystem and to SolidCAM subscription, we believe that if we succeed, and we believe we will succeed with SolidShop strategy, this also means we will um, have this, uh, package of applications that will be renewed um, along with the SolidCAM subscription. So we believe that we can also improve our subscription rates because now instead of being just a CAM tool and something that often is sacrificed by management when they need to cut, expenses, they will see a whole package or whole ecosystem of application, and our subscription will be for the whole. So that also means that we will be less, you know, fragilized when it's time to for renewals. Okay, and in some places, for example, I'll give you a clear example here in Brazil where we have subscription, practices that normally it's a 3 years uh, contract. It will give us an opportunity to be closer and more active in these relationships with the customer on the daily interactions because they will have also other products. This also means that when it's time to collect that subscription, to pass the hat, they will say, "Oh, I heard from you a week ago because we were tweaking the PDM system instead of hearing from us, after years." Uh, so, Solid Shop in many aspects uh, put us closer to these customers, help us to solve their real life, everyday problems, and also gives us more leverage in general, okay, in this relationship. So I'll go ahead here. I just want to review this very quickly so you guys can see points of sale and pain points in the manufacturing shop. So all areas where you can start to, court and try to see all these departments that I'm going to show you here as opportunities or areas where we can sell SolidShop. Okay, so CNC programming, management, tendering, quoting, finance department benefits from the data, the execution times we're monitoring and all that, meeting rooms with dashboards, production management can have access to documents in the shop floor, eliminate paper, uh, strengthen the company for ISO 9001, um, audits, and ASD 9100 as well. Inspection quality can, kind of manage inspection plans and quality documents in the PDM. Production planning can, see the availability of processes, programs, fixtures, everything, and also plan the capacity of the shop. And in general, or the area where we normally serve as well with as a final consumer of the G code we generate in the office. We can also cover them with DNC and monitoring and all that, but also shop floor, solid comfort operator. Sorry. So solid comfort operator is a great product. We have this for a number of years now. It allows us to couple it with the PDM product, and operators can kind of have like a kiosk PC, or what we call sometimes a Totem PC or a kiosk PC in the shop floor, where they can generate G codes, simulate programs, track all the changes. So Solid Shop is really an answer for tracking all the changes that happen in the office and also happen in the shop floor. I want to talk briefly about infrastructure examples. Uh, Today we're going to cover mostly uh, the DNC and the PDM product. Some plants and some resellers and partners and offices, they want also to expand more on the real-time monitoring, and we are going to have that as well. But today we're trying to focus our strategy in two phases. The first phase is, sell PDM, more DNC, something that is easier to deploy, easier to train, faster to train our workforce and resellers. And then we also plan to expand this and increase uh, the opportunities for training, technical know-how on the monitoring. It does not mean, and I want to be very clear about this, it does not mean that we need to wait to work on these things. Today's focus is on this presentation is in the business, what is practical right now, what is safe right now to do. But if any plant or sorry, any subsidiary, any office, any reseller or partner wants to kind of start, work with monitor, we can do that as well. Okay, but the business right now, we're trying to give something that we believe it's easier to assimilate and to digest. Okay, so with the DNC, which is something that I think is the portion of SolidShop that creates doubts in our workforce and resellers. Are we going to start to handle hardware now? Are we going to start to run cables in the shop floor? And the answer is yes and no. I would say mostly no, because if the customer does not have any infrastructure for DNC, we can help him to build it. If he wants to eliminate, USB sticks, which are terrible choice, a source of virus, malware for their CNCs, and bad practices in general, especially if you are trying to control your manufacturing process more tightly and have uh, you know the ability of know when some data was downloaded or not. You want to pass an audit for an ISO audit. You have the answers. The system can give you that. But if you are using USB sticks, there's the word would be there's too much promiscuity, because that data is not being tracked or controlled as it should. So DNC would give you a full control of all that. You can manage or hook up to 4,000 machines. You can cover neatly. We have the possibility to use existing infrastructure if the customer already has a DNC, other DNC solutions, and the answer is a big yes. We can hardware for DNC RS-232 uh, is in general uh, standardized. So Simco can use that, or uh, you can also have Wi-Fi or Ethernet based for modern machines. It depends on what the customer wants. Okay, so this is the entry level package. Okay, so what are the benefits for the editor plus SolidShop PDM, right? So the editor is like I showed you on the previous webinars. You have comparison, backplot simulation. If the customer has legacy files or parametric programs that cannot be handled by consistence, the editor can handle that. I think it's very important to say that we can also simulate CNC cycles, probing cycles, uh, roughing cycles, turning, cycles, threading cycles, pocket cycles on a milling machine. So if the operator is writing or trying to improve the code or kind of having canned cycles on the CNC, we can also simulate them. And if he makes a change on a parameter of a canned cycle, we can also track that change and simulate that change. Uh, if you have machine simulation, like I said, that's a plugin, an add-on, an extra that is sold as an additional module. I can tell you right now that the starting price for a very cut seat that can parse and simulate G code starts around $20,000, something like that. Uh, Services not included, and we are selling this for a seventh of that. That's the suggested price. So not every customer needs VeriCut, but most customers need something like, this G-code based simulation. We can do sectioning, we can detect collision over travel, we can run, probing cycles and all that. So it's a great value without breaking the bank. You can uh, allow the programmers and the operators to see change that were made in the code and how they affect the process. Then we saw editor running with NC base add-on. Very important to say, this is from a sales, from a commercial perspective. It's very important to say that the editor, it's a pre-requirement for running the PDM client. So every time you sell a PDM client, you also need to, the customer also needs to buy a seat of the editor, which we suppose that will help us to boost also the sales of the editor, because sometimes the customer doesn't see the value of only having an editor. They say, I use Notepad++ or whatever. But if he wants the PDM, he will have to get, the editor professional from us as well, and this helps us to boost the sales of the editor, okay? Which is part of our OEM agreement with Simco. But in this package here, what is the weakness here? And it's something that you need to communicate to the customer, because if he says, I don't want the DNC, I just want the PDM, why we say this is entry level? Because the communication options are very limited. It does not mean, and I mean, it does not mean that the PDM cannot work with the third party DNC, or if it cannot work without DNC at all. Some customers don't have any DNC at all, right? PM can still work in these environments, but the things that I showed you in the last webinars, like tracking chains made by operator on the machine, tracking chains made by programmer, you cannot really, if you don't have SolidShop DNC, you cannot really track effectively what happens on the shop floor, on the CNC, or chains by the operator. You can only track what happens in the office. So that's why this is a package that we sell. We are ready to help anyone that wants to go that direction, but we need to tell very clearly, if you go that path, you're not going to have all the benefits we showed you in the past webinars. We are not really going to solve the biggest problems we have in the shop regarding program management. Like I said, here in my bullet points, it breaks the traceability, so you don't know what happens on the CNC side. That approval queue that I showed you, the import queue, where someone needs to approve change coming from the shop floor, that's not going to work very well or at all. And if you don't have the DNC, SolidShop DNC module, you're not going to have the web client, so you cannot access the database from the CNC control or from a cell phone, from a tablet. You need to have SolidShop DNC to have the web clients, because the web server it runs inside the DNC server. Okay, so this is like our intermediary package. This is you can see here that in the previous slide we have USB sticks or a broken link. So this is what the customer would have to do. He would have to download the documents or files that he plans to put on the CNC, put that on a USB stick or some other way, and then put that on the machine. This is really a bad practice for many reasons, but if that's what the customer wants, then we can support, although we do not recommend it. So then we have SolidShop DNC, which is basically the same possibilities, right? But here we have DNC Max, and you can see that we have the arrows in blue and green, meaning we have bidirectional communication. So any change happening on the machine or any change happening in the office, they are fully tracked in both directions. You can capture operation change. Operators can provide feedback to programmers, from the shop floor. They will enter comments in the PDM database and say, I need you to change this, or this is not working out, or we need to replace this tool by another tool, or I replaced this tool by another tool. Can you please approve my change before you merge them with the latest version in the database? Uh, so this is what we would recommend for anyone trying to get, a minimum or the recommended level of connectivity with the machines, track change in the shop floor, have web clients to check for documentation, and cell phone, tablets, computers, even on the CNC screen. If you have DNC Max, you can do all that. Very important, we eliminate all the manual steps, so all that back and forth with the USB stick, that kind of, go to the CNC, plug the stick, copy the file, go to the office, copy that to the network, compare the files, merge the change. All these things are manual steps that take a long time. SolidShop, with DNC Max eliminates that. One thing that is a very common situation in the day of a shop floor. Sometimes you have old machines, or sometimes before the operator is going to start a new job, he's going to save that program that is on the CNC memory, and then delete that file and move on and upload another file that will be his next job. What happens is that if you have a programmer or a team of programmers that are working on a new process, or that are uh, you know making an improvement, an enhancement on an existing process, you basically stop that uh, train train thought, and you're basically kind of interrupt what they are doing, because they will have to take care of that USB stick that was, that got a new file minutes ago. Someone needs to take care of that program right now and overwrite the version on the network or something, because the operator already deleted, the proven version from the CNC memory. So this disrupts the CNC programming process. Operator programmers, they need to, like I say, break their line of thought, and they have to take care of a problem that could be handled later. If you have DNC Max and the PDM, operator simply pushes, uploads the program to the PDM database, and it's going to stay there for, years if you want. If you cannot take care of that problem right now, no problem. Operator can safely delete the program from the CNC memory. The PDM database already have a copy of it, but we'll put this on hold and say, I need the programmer to accept this change or not. Meantime, if you cannot do that now because you are focused on a problem, or you're an external vendor, whatever, for whatever reason, you cannot stop what you're doing right now to take care of a USB stick or a program that needs to be handled right now before it gets lost. With the NC Max and NC Base, you eliminate all that. So you have that one-click file compare. It's literally one click. You make a decision, accept, change, and reject. This is what we recommend to you guys, okay, to push this to the customer at least. But of course, if he doesn't want the PDM, only the PDM, we can also accommodate that with the limitations I mentioned. And this is the best customer experience. We have NC Base, DNC Max, and we have SolidCAM for operators. So this is actually what we recommend you guys to push to the customers. We have 2 levels of SolidCAM for operators, 2 or 3 if memory serves me. But now you have, SolidCAM running on the shop floor PC, even on the CNC control, if it's a recent one. Operator changes are tracked, like I showed. Post processors can be managed by the PDM for the whole company, including the post processors that SolidCAM for operators is using. So if you make any change, for example, on your GPP file or in your VMID file, we can configure the PDM to store and centralize all post processors and track this change control changes in the GPP. I know customers usually don't edit their files, but just to give you an idea that we can control anything we want. I think a big selling point here is that if we have SolidCAM for operators in the picture, now operators can implement optimizations and solve problems anytime, any shift. They don't need programmers to you know uh, do what they need, and there's only one single source of truth. So the file is managed by the PDM, is the same file that the operator would change. So this change would be merged to the latest version in the database. Operators can make backups before, of the SolidCAM file, the PRZ file, before they make any change. They can make a backup in the PDM and then introduce the change they want. Once they close SolidCAM for operators, PDM has an alternate version of that. If the programmer does not want those changes, he can roll back the previous PRZ file. So it's literally one single source of truth, and that old motto in the industry, like, what you see is what you get. So operators are seeing the same data that programmers are seeing. So this is what we recommend you, where that offers the best value for the customers, and also helps us to boost the sales of SolidCAM for operators. A fantastic product. So this is pricing. I think this is a slide that many people were waiting to see. It's very important to say these are suggested prices. This will be discussed with the sales leaders of every region. And these are starting price. We basically put together packages that allow us to uh, offer standard solutions for standard scenarios, but of course we have flexibility to combine things different. So what is SolidShop server? The first thing, with the Simco version that we were shipping before SolidCAM 2023 Service Pack 3, it was not possible to work with with floating license. So some customers, they bought Simco and they say, I want to float this in the shop, and we didn't have the option. We also, our agreement to distribute the editor with Simco did not allow us to provide a license server to float the editor without charging the customer an additional fee. It was always hard to handle this OEM license that we were shipping. So now with SolidShop, we have a new agreement with Simco that allows us to ship, the license manager, the DNC server, and the PDM server. What are the server? When you mean server, it's just a software. Okay, I'm not talking about having different computers to act as servers. Yes, you need one computer to act as the server that will store the database, the DNC settings, the licenses. But basically what I'm talking here is a service in this first column here means a Windows service. So I just want you guys to see this. Let's see, services. It's a Windows service, okay? And this Windows service is one for DNC, one for the license serve, one for the PDM, okay? So it's not a physical machine. It's just a piece of software that will store the database, a piece of software that will manage all the communications with all machines. And the license manager will manage the license file. Okay, in this price, we have 1 year of maintenance. Actually, this number here is wrong. This is, I think, 15% now. Let me just fix that, because this is our what we charge. So 1 year of maintenance included for the customer, and he's supposed to renew this every year. So like I say, we can tie this to the SolidCAM subscription. Uh, and if he does not, Simco, very important to say, these modules, they are perpetual licenses. There are many providers of monitoring DNC software now in the market that move it towards, the software as a service, and they charge you, subscription fee that, if you don't renew that, the software stops working. This is not the case here. Simco is perpetual. If the customer doesn't wish to renew the maintenance, the subscription, then he will not get technical support or will not have access to new versions, just like in SolidCAM. So this is very important to clarify this, because although the upfront pricing is higher than what you would have in a software as a service uh, proposal, this is perpetual, which is something that many shop owners enjoy to hear, okay, about. So what is the SolidShop standard? This is where, so SolidShop server, we need that per site. If you need the PDM, we need to put that database in a server. If you want the DNC service, we also need to put that normally in the same server. So we need this per site. So regardless of number of licenses or seats or PDM clients or machines, you need to have this SolidShop server, which is a software package. This is our suggested price per site. Okay. Then we have SolidShop standard, which is per machine. We are offering here DNC port and also a web viewer for the DNC client, which allows the customer to see data from the PDM and also from the DNC from any uh, uh, device with a web browser around the world. So this is what we would charge, per machine. Then we would say SolidShop client, which is like just a viewer. Okay, so this is per user, is a floating license. It includes the ability here to have a PDM, because for every PDM client that you sell, you also need to use SIMCO Edit. Okay, don't forget the PDM client and the DNC clients, they are add-ons. They run inside the editor. So every time you need them, you need to buy, Edit Professional. So this is what we are suggesting is a floating license, allows the customer, to uh, float this license around the shop. Very important to say. Let's suppose the customer orders, 3 licenses, but then he wants to see, he is in another country traveling and he wants to access the PDM database to find an information. That web client license is what we are charging for here. So this could be a desktop license that runs on a Windows computer, or it could be the web client that is running on his cell phone. So if he wants to uh, have this ability to sell, to see data on a web device, uh, he's basically going to take that license from the shop. So always communicate that to the customer, because like I say, these are all selling points for us now. So we can, make money in multiple areas, but also if the customer wants to view information on his phone, we can also sell a license. So we are generating opportunities for us to sell more licenses. It's important to clarify this, okay? If the customer wants to have three licenses to float in the shop, and he wants to have one dedicated for him to monitor information in real time on his phone or see the PDM database or something like that, he needs to order 4 licenses instead of 3, okay? Because one will be used with his cell phone. And finally, we have the machine simulation. We are considering here, which is approximately 1/7 of the very cut machine simulation license. It includes one editor professional and one and the machine builder. Machine simulation, it's also a source of business opportunities for us, because we can also sell services to construct the machines for the customer, training to build machines. So uh, machine simulation is basically an add-on. So you would have to have the editor plus 3200. And in this 3200, what we are suggesting is that we include one machine built for the customer. So he would provide us with the same 3D models that was used to build the VMID for his file. Um, and also we can offer 2 things. In the 3200, you can have one machine delivered for you free of cost, or a training session to build machines on your own, because we also can, with the machine simulation license, the customer can build as many machines he wants for simulation. It's not charged per machine, it's charged, per seat. So in that seat, you can, build your own machines, uh, and we'll have no problem. We can charge the customer to build the machines for him, or we can, train him to do that. Both in both cases, that generates, an opportunity for us to generate, revenue. So examples, okay, an example, how much would it cost to cover, a small shop with just one machine, which is probably unlikely, but we wanted to use one machine so you guys can see the price per seat, by unit, okay? So we have a CNC programmer. Would be a server running the database. So this could be in a room, could be a computer that stays, online all the time in the shop floor. We have minimal requirements for that. We have recommendations as well. Um, but essentially, the server could be just a computer where we're going to store the database. And then we have a CNC machine and a computer in the shop floor where the operator can, open the PDM database, view documents, perhaps, open SolidCAM for operators and all that. So this is, we would sell SolidShop server uh, to be installed on a computer. Okay, SolidShop standard is the license that we would have to provide DNC capabilities for the machine. And then we have SolidShop client, where we can have the editor with the PDM and DNC. And then also the same for the CNC programmer. So that's why we have two clients here. So you say, Daniel, why we charge, a little above Simco if we get the quotation? First, because if we are talking about the integration with SolidCAM, we are developing the interfaces. We have, interface for the machine simulation, which we export fixtures, models, stock, tools, and all that. We also have an interface for the PDM that we are going to deliver with SolidCAM 2025. Uh, we have all these integrations. We have the support that we need to provide, the integration with SolidCAM. So we need to make money with this, okay? So of course, like I said in my first slide, about pricing. All this will be discussed with the sales leaders of each region, and we're going to try to find, the numbers that work for everyone. Prices that I'm showing here, they are North American price, U.S. price, and then for all other countries, we apply, the factors that we already use for Europe and Asia and all that. Okay, so basically, this would give you an overview of, what would cost to have one machine and two computers, seeing download this information, have a centralized database, and we providing all the support and the interfaces for PDM and the interfaces of machine simulation. Then we have scenario number 2. I have 4 machines that I want to communicate with, one CNC programmer, and I have 4 shop floor kiosks. Well, that's a little unlikely situation. Probably would have like 2 kiosks for 4 machines or something like that. But we also wanted to show you how much would cost, if that's what the customer wanted. Remember that shop floor kiosk for PCs. We could say I'm getting 4 clients, but I'm gonna use them in 2 computers in the shop floor, and the other one I'm gonna use in web browsers, like in my phone, or I'm gonna have a real-time dashboard for DNC and PDM in the office. I want to access this from, the machine shop supervisor computer or from home. So it doesn't mean that you need to have 4 physical kiosks. You just need to have 4 clients, which could be 2 physical computers in the shop floor, and then tablets, cell phones, or like maybe a TV with a dashboard in the office. Okay, so same thing, SolidShop server. The machines would use SolidShop standard for the DNC communication, and here I would have the SolidShop clients. like I said, could be a cell phone or not necessarily be a computer in the shop floor. And we also have the CNC programmer. Okay, that's why you see 5 SolidShop clients, because we have 4 kiosks here plus the CNC programmer. So as you can see, every client generates an opportunity for us to sell an editor, right? And then we also have the PDM client. So this can significantly boost the sales of the editor as well, which is good for us because our OEM agreement with Simco is helps us in that direction. So finally, I have this slide here that shows where else we can make money with SolidShop, because it generates also opportunities for service. So in this case here, we have 2 machines. If you want me to configure and install this for 2 machines or 10 machines, I would charge you a fee. Okay, normally it's a daily fee to be in the office, in the shop with the customer. PDM configuration, this is can generate easily like 10, 20 hours of work, sometimes more if the customer wants a sophisticated implementation, integration with ERP and all that. So we can also do this. We can also write custom interfaces between PDM database and other third-party systems for the customer. We can charge for that. Um, for the machine simulation building, we are suggesting, $200 per axis. So if I was going to build a machine simulation for these 2 machines here, I would charge, so that's why you see two. A 5 axis would cost $1,000. A 2 axis with the C-axis milling with a live tool would cost $600. Again, the customer needs to provide the 3D models, and this is not really difficult to do, but it's an opportunity for us to sell the service or to sell the training for the customer so he can build the machines himself. Um, if you want to sell, SolidCAM for operators, we have 2 modules, simulation only, $1,300 American dollars, and then for operation, if you want to edit the toolpaths and make modifications 3 times. And training, could be. I think that this is a very local decision how much it costs to charge for training and the the hourly cost of our professionals worldwide. So I would kind of, leave this to each of you to define. But this is just kind of give you an idea that SolidShop is not only about selling these solutions, but also generating, service opportunities, service revenue opportunities for us. And if anyone has any doubt about training, when we start to train our technical workforce and help you guys to start building commercial proposals, make no mistake, it's different than selling CAM, but we kind of have the proven recipes from our experience in the industry doing this before. We hired someone to help us with that, Marielle Spina. She's helping us with the commercial processes and the procedures. So we're going to be able to share some recipes, like I said. What is the standard model for a proposal for DNC or monitoring or whatever the customer wants? You need to be very careful, set the boundaries very clearly, because if the customer does not have infrastructure, then you need to kind of insulate SolidCAM from these responsibilities. Very important to say, infrastructure is not something that SolidCAM is planning to do, but it's always a local decision. You guys can run, or your operations and business as you like. Our recommendation is to use partners. We're not going to become this company with lots of technicians in a van, running cables on machine shops, but we can partner with local companies that provide that service to the customer, and the customer decides he wants to get the service direct from these companies or wants us to intermediate that and charge them in our proposals, and then we we bring the partners and to do the job. So all these things are pretty much defined it on a local level, but I would recommend us to stay away from trying to become, you know, to deliver solutions for every single aspect of infrastructure. There are lots of companies out there, and you guys are going to have central support from the SolidShop technical team to understand what is needed and guide you about the hardware or infrastructure or anything. Okay, so you guys are not alone. There's an experienced team here that sold DNC and monitoring PDM systems for a long time or implemented that in big companies. So don't worry, we understand the challenges from a small company to a large manufacturer with lots of rules and IT, cybersecurity obstacles and all that. We can help you guys with that. Okay. So finally, I'd just like to highlight before I open, the conversation for questions and answers. Uh, I want to kind of remind you of some major selling points. There are many, but I had to make them fit into one slide. So for the PDM, this is not a PDM, a generic PDM like Steam Center or Innovia or Windchill. This is or SolidCAM, SolidWorks PDM or Autodesk Volt. This is a manufacturing PDM that is designed with operators in mind, with CNC programmers in mind. Okay, so the workflows are very oriented to these types of departments, and it's fully integrated to DNC software. So this is also a unique thing because you see many PDMs in the market, but if you ask them, can you handle my CNC programs, my sub programs, my documents, my setup sheets? And they will say, maybe, but you're gonna have to make your DNC software read a folder of my PDM, and you're gonna have to handle everything manually. I definitely showed you in the last webinars that we have full control over what happens in both sides of the fence. This is very important. Okay, don't try to push the whole package and bells and whistles and monitoring and everything and scheduler. Uh, SolidShop is scalable. So if the customer wants to start small, but he's with us, he's at our platform, and we can expand, 1 year later once he gains, trust in the solution. Yesterday we went to a prospect customer, for example, and he saw everything and say, yeah, but I want to start with the PDM and DNC. This is, I think, where I have a big gap here. And there's no problem at all. We say, let's do that. Let's eliminate your USB sticks. Let's, have uh, strengthen your position for quality audits. This guy is working for aerospace and defense. He wanted to, get stronger for audits and ISO 9001 implementation and all that and audits. Uh, SolidShop is very affordable, widely proven. Okay, these tools they are proven all around the world. They have thousands and thousands of seats in key companies. Uh, I want to highlight this. Many people ask, can I sell this to other systems? And the answer is yes. Okay. In the beginning, we were planning to sell SolidShop only for SolidCAM. But then we realized that many customers are not ready or prospects are not ready to change their systems, but they want to experience the solutions and the technology that we are offering with SolidShop. So, but like I say, the same way the technology is scalable, the sale is also scalable. We can offer this, for example, with a customer with an X or even a competitor product, and that will allow us to penetrate that business. To start there with the right foot, they will have good experience with our technology, and again, once they are part of our customer base, they are not strangers anymore. It's easier for us to prospect and develop our existing, customer base, people that know us, that are happy with our product, and then we can sell make up sales and sell other solutions for them in the future. So there's no reason to stop at SolidCAM. But it's very important to tell them, if you want all the benefits of the integration, metadata from the CAD model going to the database and the interfaces and transfer of 3D models and fixtures and tools, only with SolidCAM. We are not going to develop interfaces for competitor CAM systems. So some of the things will have to be done manually. But some people are really happy with that. They say, I don't care if I have to do a few things manually. Uh, and we can always have an opportunity to show them, how it works on SolidCAM, and they will see the speed, and maybe 6 months later they will say, hey, I'm tired of doing these things manually. I think we need to put the seat of SolidCAM here and test it with the PDM. Okay, so we are trying to create opportunities for us and bring more customers to our database. Uh, and also, the PDM shield programmers and operators from mistakes. I cannot stress how great this thing is for quality audits and quality system requirements. It makes you bulletproof. Okay, so any quality guy or the shop owner that is trying to get stronger for audits or eliminate the source of non-conformities that they got in the last audit, this thing really makes wonders, especially if we have a solid shop for operators in the shop, and then SolidCAM in the office. And DNC Max and PDM. We literally have control of both sides of the fence in every aspect. SolidShop DNC, very important is, it works with existing DNC infrastructure. So if the customer says, I don't have anything, we can sell DNC for him and help him to implement. I already have this DNC from other company. Do I have to rebuild my infrastructure and run cables and all that? No, we can reuse that. But of course, if he says, I want to keep my DNC and work with your PDM, it's going to be that entry-level scenario I showed you in the past. Here, let me see if I can go back. Yes, you're gonna have a broken uh, link between the machines and DNC and NC base and the PDM, and that's not recommended at all. So we can accommodate an existing or replace an existing DNC tool. We can migrate the data from his network folders to the database. Um, Another thing we can do, eliminate USB sticks. This is more than ever. USB sticks are a source of malware, virus. They can render a CNC unusable. They can begin or be the entry point of an attack, or hacking of the CNC network of the company, especially if it's a small and mid-sized company. Someone could install malware and hack the network of the whole company because of a USB stick was inserted on the CNC that's connected to the network, that's connected to the server. And so you could have finance and all that engineering and everyone down. Or so it's important to sell this, because years ago you could say this is FUD, right? You're just instilling fear. But I came from a big company that took cybersecurity, for industrial cybersecurity, very seriously, and these things are closer to the reality, or the everyday of companies than we ever expect, them to be. Uh, with the DNC, we have full visibility. Any change happening on the programmer side or machine side, we have traceability control. Chains are not merged without approval. Uh, and we have web clients to the PDM and DNC. Very important to say, if the customer does not want the the DNC, he will not be able to have web clients, because the web server runs on top of the DNC server. And selling points, SolidCAM for operators. I think most of you know the values. It's important to uh, say that in this context with SolidShop and the PDM and DNC, it's even better. Uh, we have traceability over chains happening also on the SolidCAM file. We can control backups and change inside the PRZ file. So if an operator is going to change something, he can backup the file before changes. And then if there's something wrong, programmer can roll back those, changes and have the version. We can handle revisions from the customer, drawing revisions. We can have all that tracked and and documented, okay? Does not require a CAD sheet, which is great for the shop, and includes also process simulation, but it's not G-code driven like, SolidShop machine.